Hi everybody, Julie Friedman Smith here
Gail Bell.
from Parenting Power. Summer is upon us, so exciting, and school is almost out. And so we were talking about, well, what can we expect? And the thing that we both said instantly is at some point in the next few days, we're going to hear, I'm bored.
Yes.
We know it's coming.
Which can be very frustrating with parents when we feel like we've planned our summer out great for them, and we may have in the big scheme, like this week we're doing this. But if we want to avoid that potential argument, we need to break it down even smaller for kids.
That's right.
So they may be at camp from 9 to 3, but then you have 3 to 8.
Sure. Or they may be home the whole day, and
Or they
that's
may be
part of
home.
it is, they might really go for it for the first 2 hours and then suddenly feel like, okay, well, I've done everything I could possibly do. So what's next?
So being bored is awesome.
It is. It's
And
incredibly valuable
It's
and important.
Incredibly valuable. That's when the brain is creative. And we often don't just let our kids know that it's okay to be bored. So we tell them, well, do this or do this or do this, or why don't you do this or why don't you do that? So being bored is great. So we would encourage you to have a conversation with your kids about how being bored is awesome.
And kind of expected. It's what happens.
Part of life.
Exactly. And so part of the way we can support our kids, and especially when you've got young kids, if this is a great way to start, is talking about it won't be unreal. It's quite realistic that you will feel bored. And so what do you do when you're bored? And what we've talked with parents about for years and years is creating a what can I do list. So setting aside some time to do that before your kids get bored.
And you can start the list or you can make the list, but it's awesome if you do it with them.
Definitely.
And they might, if they're little, they might, well, I don't know what I can do. And then you start and say, well, I think you can do, paint the fence with water. That was a big one in our family.
That's right.
My kids
Little
spend
kids
hours.
love playing with water.
Chalk, puzzles,
Coloring.
lying on your bed, lying on the grass, looking at the clouds.
Reading, dance party. I mean, there's a huge amount of options here. I always love going through my kids' closets when we're making this list with them and just looking at, gifts that they got maybe for a birthday or for a holiday, a model kit that they haven't sat down to build because there hasn't been time, or, a science kit or things like that they get stuff and they think, oh, this would be good to do. And it gets put somewhere, but it never actually gets done. So making a list of those things. And we also, in our family, when my kids were little, we used to make a list of who are people with whom they'd like to play so that they can, so we can plan that out for the summer.
Sure.
And fun places they'd like to visit. Because another thing we can do
Parks.
is make a list of, the parks they want to walk to with you and go and have a picnic somewhere. There are so many things that we can plan to do with our children over the summer, as well as that they can plan to do independently. And that's a big part of parenting, is teaching kids independent play.
Oh, for sure. And some time away from everybody every day is awesome.
Yes.
It's just awesome. You don't have to be with your kids doing this stuff with them all the time.
No, in fact, this is about them doing stuff with themselves so that you're not necessarily entertaining them the whole time. The other thing that's important to plan is our script for when we hear I'm bored, because it's really tempting to just whine back at them. Why are you always telling me you're bored? Why are you whining? And then we're whining. Kids learn what they live and live what they learn. And if it works, if they do that whine and then we get in there and we start having an argument with them, well, they're not bored anymore because we've been entertaining them. So plan what you're going to say. Wow, sounds like you're bored. Better go check your list. Or
that's okay to be
yeah,
bored.
I know you can handle it.
Bored's a feeling.
So a lot of good has come out of staring at the ceiling of one's bedroom, lying on one's bed, staring at the ceiling, coming up with a plan.
And we're going to add in, be careful that, okay, we'll just go do nothing and then they pick up a screen. So be careful.
Yeah, just be aware.
Just be aware.
Be aware of screen time. We just, and we'll add it to the bottom of this video as well. There's some new guidelines that have come out on screen time and great research that's been done on the value of time on screens. One of the interesting things was that there is value on connecting with your kids, like on looking at something, interacting, using a screen with your child, as opposed to leaving your child with a screen by themselves. So that was part of the research, but we'll put a link to that to really show you the guidelines of who who should have no screens, who should have, how long kids should be on screens, and just being aware and setting those guidelines for the summer.
It's from the Canadian Pediatric Association. It just came out in June 1, their new statement.
Yeah, it's really valuable and
it's
very
research-based. So.
interesting, valuable research. So there are some things to consider. You know it's coming, so make a plan about how that's going to look in your family, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.